Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm here to break down the college basketball slate on Tuesday, January 5th. We got a big slate of games today, 7 games. Pretty important games for college basketball. We're going to get into that. Before I do that, if you're new here, make sure to leave a like on this video and subscribe to this channel. All really helps me grow. Leave a comment. Tell me who you think your favorite play today is. If you want to get this spreadsheet and all the projections that I make every single day, you can go hit the link below for the Patreon. It's only $5 a month, and you are going to get projections every single day in the sheet every single day because I don't usually make a video every single day. Usually like 4 or 5 days a week I get it out, but sometimes it's hard all 7 days to get a video out, but I will have the Patreon up every single day. So be sure to go check that out. But I think that's really all I got to say on that. Let's get into the plays where we are going to start with Garrison Brooks for North Carolina. North Carolina is going to be playing Miami today. This game has a implied game total of 141. It's about average on the day today. North Carolina has an implied team total of 70.8. This game is going to have a pace of 72.55. That's going to be slightly below average, but pretty much about average. It's just pretty much an average game on the slate today. So nothing like too important to target or too negative to say to take a step back. But going to be a pretty decently paced game. When you go look at Garrison Brooks, he's really the only guy I'm interested in on Carolina because Carolina's kind of in shambles right now. I don't really know. Their rotation's been kind of whack the past few days, honestly. They're just every day someone different's playing a ton of minutes. But the one consistent guy in that rotation has been Garrison Brooks. I have him projected for 29 minutes today. He's a .86 point per minute producer. He has a usage rate of 20 and a rebound rate of 14.6. So even though he didn't start last game, I think that's fine. He still got the minutes. He literally still got the same amount of minutes he got as a starter. I kind of expect him to be back in the starting lineup because, Carolina's been struggling this year, but he has been the one player that's kind of been decent for them. So I think Garrison Brooks is a fine option. I don't think you need to get there today, but I do think he is fine. Devin Daniels is going to be playing for NC State. They're going to be playing up against Clemson today. This game has an implied total of 136. It's kind of below average game on the day. But NC State's implied team total is really bad with an implied team total of 66. That's why there's really only one guy at NC State I'm kind of interested to go to. When we look at the pace of this game, it's going to be a 71.85 pace game. That's not really anything particularly interesting to me. So Devin Daniels is the one guy I would be interested in on NC State. He is $7,700. I do have him projected for 38 minutes today. He has a usage rate of 25.8 and an assist rate of 18.4. That's really what stands out to me for him. He's just been kind of the best player on NC State this year, most important player to that team. So I do think if there is one player to go target on NC State, that is who it would be, but I'm not really too overly excited to get there. And on the other side of that game, though, you have the Clemson Tigers, who have been red hot this year, ranked now. They're actually good, which is kind of surprising. Not used to seeing Clemson be amazing, but they're at the top of the ACC right now. I'm interested in 3 guys from this team: Clyde Trapp, Alamir Dawes, and Amir Sims. We already talked about how the implied team total is low, but Clemson has an implied team total of 70.7, which is not bad. And it is going to be a pace up spot for Clemson. Like NC State, overall the pace of this game isn't great, but NC State is playing at a lot faster pace than Clemson. And then I have 35 minutes projected for Clyde Trapp, and he's only $4,900. I think that just looks like a really good value, and it's not like he's bad or anything. He has a usage rate of 18.4, an assist rate of 16.8, and a rebound rate of 11.7. I think that's good. Alamir Dawes at $5,400. I have him projected for 37 minutes. He just also projects as a value. Another pretty good usage guy at 20.5 and with an assist rate of 17.7. Both him and Clyde Trapp look like pretty solid values on the slate. And then Amir Sims is their best player. He's $7,300. I have him projected for 33 minutes. He's a 1.04 point per minute producer, has a usage rate of 25.2, an assist rate of 21.6, and a rebound rate of 13.3. He's their main guy on his team, so Amir Sims definitely is a top guy for me in that 7K range today. I definitely like getting there. And then Clyde Trapp and Alamir Dawes project as pretty solid values on the day. Isaiah Wong is going to be the only guy I'm interested in Miami. Miami's kind of similar to NC State's team, just I'm not that interested in. When you go look at their implied team total, it's only 68.7. I don't really like that too much. The pace is going to be 72.55, about an average pace game. It's going to be a slight pace up spot for Miami. Carolina playing at like 1 more possession per game than Miami is right now. Isaiah Wong, he is going to come in at $7,800. I have him projected for 36 minutes. He's almost a 1 point per minute guy with a usage rate 23.7 and an assist rate 12.9. I think that's fine. I don't think you have to get there, but I do think that he projects some upside. If you're playing a lot of lineups, I'd probably want to get a little bit of Isaiah Wong today. Now we're going to go to Mississippi State as they face off against Missouri today. This game has an implied total of 138.5. It's not fantastic. Mississippi State has an implied team total of 69.1, which is all right. This game is going to be a pace of 71.9, but Mississippi State is going into a nice pace-up spot. Missouri playing at about 2.5 more possessions per game than Mississippi State is this year. I think Jalen Johnson projects out some pretty nice value, $5,100. I have him projected for 31 minutes. He's a .66 point per minute producer with a usage rate of 16.5. Maybe not the best point per dollar producer out there, but at $5,100, playing 31 minutes, that does project as a nice value to me. And then Tolu Smith at $7,000, I have him projected for 36 minutes, almost a whole point per minute producer with a high usage rate of 22 and a high rebound rate of 16.5. Really like that for him. I think Tolu Smith could be a pretty solid option here. I mean, not a lot of people are going to play Mississippi State players anyway, so I don't really have to worry about that too much, but I do think Tolu Smith does look like a pretty solid option today. Not a top tier option. I would, if you had $300 to pay it for Amir Sims, I'd rather do that, but I think Tolu Smith's fine. Now we're going to go to the game of the day. This game of the cover, we got the Alabama guy. We're going to talk about Florida first, but this is definitely the game of the day when we have Alabama and Florida facing off. This game has an implied game total of 154.5. It's huge. Now, there is another game that does have a high total, which we're going to talk about in a minute, so you can probably see the 152 down there. But this is a game that does project out to be a ton of scoring. You have Florida has an implied team total of 75.7. That is 4 points more than average, and the implied game total is 12 points more than on the average for the day, so that's really good. This is definitely a game to attack today, in my opinion. When we go look at the pace, it is going to be the fastest paced game of the day as well, which is why this high total. It's a 75.85 pace game, which is just huge compared to the rest of the slate. Trey Mann, Anthony DeRuggi, and Scotty Lewis are going to be the three guys I'm really interested in. This is going to definitely be the game I'd like to pay up for. Trey Mann is $7,600. I have him projected for 35 minutes. He's a 1 point per minute producer. He has a high usage rate, 26.6, and a high assist rate, 25.4. He's your starting point guard. I don't know if you remember Terrence Mann at Florida State, or if you play NBA DFS and you've been there for Terrence Mann days on the Clippers. That's his younger brother. He's pretty good as well. He's just going to play a lot of minutes. He's a high point per minute producer, and he's a high usage guy. I love paying up for him. I think he's just in a great spot. I definitely like going there. Anthony DeRuggi, $4,900. He projects out some nice value for me. I have him projected for 34 minutes. Now, this is going to be another guy that doesn't really do a ton out there. Only has a usage rate of 16.9, no assist rate basically, and a low rebound rate of 12.1. Only a .71 point per minute producer, but at $4,900 in a super high total game and a fast-paced game for 34 minutes, that's going to be something I'd like to get to. So, the rates don't look great, but the value does. So I do think Anthony DeRuggi is a pretty solid option. And then Scotty Lewis is pretty much the go-to scorer on Florida this year. I have him projected for 38 minutes. Well, with Keontae Johnson. Keontae Johnson was, but now Keontae Johnson down. It's Scotty Lewis. I have him projected for 38 minutes. He's a 1.0. He's a 1 point per minute producer. He does only have a usage rate of 18.4 and assist rate of 13. But Scotty Lewis, he's a big talent. He was a big-time prospect coming out of high school 2 years ago. He can score the ball pretty well. I'd rather go to Trey Mann for sure. I think Trey Mann, you save a little bit of money, he has higher rates, but Scotty Lewis does also project out well. He's definitely someone I'd like to get some attention on. Definitely someone I want. Now, Herb Jones to me is the most underpriced player on the slate, which is why I made him the guy on the cover. Herb Jones on the cover. So Alabama's favored in this game by 3 points. They have the highest implied team total on the day at 78. So that's something to note. I do like going to Alabama for sure today. So Herb Jones is $1,600, and I just don't understand it. He's 0.999. That's 1 point per minute producer. He pretty much is a 1 point per minute producer this year. He has a high usage rate of 23.3, a high assist rate of 14.1, and then rebound rate's 11.7. He plays a ton of minutes. I'm projected for 33 minutes today in a fast-paced game. And the highest total game on the slate and the highest implied team total by anybody on the slate as well. I think Herb Jones is way too cheap at $6,800. He should be like $7,400. At $6,800, he projects out as the best value on the entire slate for me. I think he's a great play. I don't understand why he's that cheap. I would just, if I'm making a line, I'm probably starting going Herb Jones and Trey Mann and then figuring the rest out. Those are the two guys I'd like to lock in for sure today. Herb Jones is definitely someone I really like. Jordan Brunner, I have him projected for 25 minutes. I don't really usually like, he's $5,700. I don't usually like going to guys that are only playing 25 minutes at that price, but he's a high producer, a 1.033 or 003 point per minute producer, usage rate of 14.2. He kind of just does a little bit of everything. At $5,700, if he's going to produce like that, I think he's a really good play. I think there's probably other plays in the 5K range. It depends what you like. If you like going for the minutes, then there's other better plays that we talked about or we are going to talk about. But if you like going for the more upside production wise, I think Jordan Brunner could be that guy for you. If he knocks down some more shots, he could be a really good play. John Petty's the best player on, well, him or Herb. I think John Petty's probably the best player in Alabama this year. I have him projected for 31 minutes. He's a .88 point per minute producer with a usage rate 19.2 and an assist rate of 15. Just a guy who kind of does a little. He's kind of their best scorer this year. He was a preseason All-SEC player, and he's probably going to get close to that this year, especially with the way Kentucky is playing. He's a shooter. When he gets hot, he's huge for you. I mean, if he's not knocking down shots, he's not going to do as well for you, so that's kind of a little bit of a worry. I prefer Herb Jones on the slate for sure, but John Petty's still really good. I definitely like going there. Now we're going to go to Missouri. They're going to be facing off against Mississippi State. We already talked about this game. It's a low overall implied game total at 138.5. Missouri has an implied team total of 69.8. I'm sorry. Missouri has an implied game total of 73.2. So they're going to score like a little bit more points. I mean, Missouri's actually really good. The SEC is weird this year. I mean, if you've been following this year, like Kentucky sucks, but like Missouri's really good. Alabama's really good. Tennessee is not that surprising. Like, it's just different teams up there. Auburn's not good this year. So very interesting to see Missouri playing very well. I mean, I've always kind of liked watching them. Xavier Pinson and Mark Smith are going to be the two guys I'm interested in. Xavier Pinson, $6,100. I have him projected for 33 minutes. This is another guy I just think is way too cheap. I don't understand his pricing. 32.3 usage rate and 27.7 assist rate. 33 minutes for $6,100. It's just way too cheap. I just don't understand his salary at all. There's just guys that are way more, like John Petty Jr. is more expensive, but Xavier Pinson's has better rates than him in every way as a DFS player. So I don't understand his pricing at all. I think he's another guy that's just a great value. The only reason he doesn't project as well as a value is because the spot isn't as great, but the usage, the assist rate, the point per minute, the minutes, everything's great for him there. I just don't understand that pricing. He's definitely someone I'd like to get a lot of today. And then Mark Smith projects as a nice value at $4,600. I have him project for 34 minutes today. He's only a .62 point per minute producer, but he does have a usage rate of 19.8, so that's not bad. At 4,600, someone's going to play 34 minutes. I do think that's a pretty good play. When you're making your lineups, there's a Mark Smith and a Mitchell Smith on Missouri. Make sure you're picking the right one. Mark Smith's the one you want to go with, not Mitchell Smith. So just word of caution there. Michigan State going up against Rutgers. This is the other really high total game on the slate. Has an implied. Hold on a second. Okay, I'm just tripping right now. It has an implied total of 153.9 on this slate. 152 on this slate. I'm really out of it right now. Anyway, this is gonna be a really high scoring game. The Michigan State Spartans have a high team total on this slate as well. When you go look at pace, it's going to be a nice pace game, a 73.9 pace game. Aaron Henry and Joshua Langford are the two guys I am interested in the most. Aaron Henry, I have projected for 33 minutes. He's $7,400. Going against Rutgers, he's pretty much the best player on Michigan State this year. He's been doing a lot for his team. He has a usage rate 26.8 and assist rate 26.1. I definitely like him there. I think Aaron Henry is just one of the best plays overall on the slate. And then Joshua Langford at 5,000 projects as a nice value. Joshua Langford, man, I mean, he's had a huge bounce back from that injury. Missed all last year, missed a lot of year before. I mean, I can't believe he's still playing, to be completely honest with you, but he is. I'm projected for 29 minutes today. He's only a .65 point per minute producer, but he does have a usage rate of 18.5 and an assist rate of 16.6, which is not bad. And at 5,000, that does project as a pretty solid value. Now we're going to go to the Rutgers guys on the other side of this game. You have Ron Harper and Jacob Young. Rutgers is really good. It's weird, but Rutgers is really good. Rutgers' favorite in this game would beat Michigan State, which is just, that's crazy to me. But they're a really, really good basketball team this year. And it's because of these two guys, Ron Harper Jr., Jacob Young. These are your two best players on this team. Ron Harper Jr. is expensive. You're going to have to pay for him. He's $8,500. But he's a 1.14 point per minute producer. He has a usage rate of 26 and an assist rate of 12.7 and a rebound rate of 11.2. He's good. I'm projected for 33 minutes. He looks really good. Jacob Young, $7,300. You're going to pay a little bit less for him, but 0.84 point per minute producer is not as good. He has a usage rate of 24.2 and an assist rate of 26.6. All right, so Kansas is the team that we have to pay attention to news today because Marcus Garrett's questionable for them, and Marcus Garrett is a really big piece. Like, I mean, I haven't projected in. Oh, yeah, and Bryce Thompson's out. So there's two big injuries here. So Bryce Thompson being out, is going to bump up DeJuan Harris. DeJuan Harris is going to get a lot more minutes at guard. I gave him 32 because he was seeing in the upper 20s recently, and Bryce Thompson had 14. It was about 14 per game, so I had to bump him up a little bit, and I bumped up another guard. But if Marcus Garrett misses too, like DeJuan Harris becomes the best value on the slate. At $3,900, that is a massive value to play all those minutes. I do like him a lot. But then the other thing with Marcus Garrett missing is I would expect a lot more usage to go to both Christian Brown and Ochai Agbaji. I think these two pick up a lot of usage without Marcus Garrett on the floor. So be paying attention to Kansas. That is like one of the late games today, so that kind of sucks. But pay attention to that news because that's big news. These guys could become really good values. Like, I think if you have Marcus Garrett out, I think Ochai Agbaji is 7,000 as probably someone who should be priced like 7,700, and Christian Brown 6,000, probably someone who should be priced like 7,000. So you have really good values, and DeJuan Harris at 3,900 is just too cheap. He's going to play a ton of minutes. There's nobody else as a guard on that team who actually gets minutes. Now, if Bryce Thompson was in, I think that him and Harris would probably split a bunch of minutes at guard, but with no Bryce Thompson, I mean, that already makes DeJuan Harris a good play in my opinion, but it's going to make him even better play if Marcus Garrett's out. So be sure to look out for that news. That's really big. Mike Miles is $5,900. I have him projected for 31 minutes. He's a .866 point per minute producer, has a usage rate of 26.1 and assist rate 24.8. If you want to get exposure to TCU, that's where I'd go. And then we go look at Marquette going against UConn. I'm not interested in UConn at all, but Marquette does have a nice little pace-up spot, barely, but it's a pace-up spot. Justin Lewis is $4,600. I have him projected for 28 minutes. He's a 1.1 point per minute producer, has a usage rate 23.8. I think he's too cheap. I think $4,600 is way too cheap for Justin Lewis, so he's definitely someone I want to get some exposure to. And then Dawson Garcia is $5,900. I have him projected for 34 minutes. He's a 1 point per minute producer, usage rate 22. He also just seems a little too cheap for all the minutes he's going to play and a producer he is. But I think that's really all I got to say in this video. Hope you guys got a lot of good information out there today. There's a lot of really good plays on this slate, and it got kind of deep. It started out rough, but as we got into the video, you saw the better plays coming around. So thank you guys so much for checking this out. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and hope you guys make some money tonight.